Year after year, a ton of incredible films are released only to end up going largely unnoticed, and 2018 is no different. But don't worry about missing out on all the future classics slipping under the radar. We've got the scoop on the very best. Writer-director Chloe Zhao's The Writer breaks the barriers of what a true story film can be. Real-life South Dakota rodeo rider Brady Jandreau leads as a faintly fictionalized version of himself and recounts the horror of the moment a horse trampled him and the hardships he faced afterwards. Though shaken and stripped of the very thing that gave him purpose, Brady refuses to succumb to sorrow and journeys across the Badlands to find a new identity. Jandreau's performance comes across nuanced and naturalistic, gorgeously complemented by shots of the South Dakota sky. On the whole, the film's ability to deliver its dizzying narrative in a beautiful package makes it critically acclaimed but unfortunately underseen. In Academy Award-winning director Sebastian Lelio's Disobedience, wanting what you can't have isn't just a simple taboo. Disobedience stars Rachel Weisz as Ronit, a non-practicing Orthodox Jewish woman who returns to her buttoned-up London community decades after her teenage romance with a female school friend was found out. Rachel McAdams plays Esty, the childhood friend who still holds the passion for Ronit in her adulthood that she did in her youth. Once reunited, the two fall into their feelings once more, a dynamic made more complicated when Esty's husband, Dovid, gets involved. Balancing risky, dramatic material with poignant rumination on centuries-long values, Lelio creates a film that swirls with strife as intensely as it stupefies with its eventual truths.
So everything was all right when I left?
No. I was ill.
Adapted from Jim Shepard's psychological fiction novel, Project X, And Then I Go chronicles middle schooler Edwin's mounting stress as it snowballs into insomnia and anxiety. Edwin's world changes after his best friend Flake suffers a particularly humiliating encounter with a bully and suggests that he and Edwin silence their tormentors. What unravels after Flake's idea is an intimate look into the peaks of violence and pain Edwin rides through, and how the two boys' suppressed fury fuels their terrifying life-or-death plan to finally be accepted. Ethan Hawke gives the performance of a lifetime in First Reformed, the mesmerizing loss-of-faith drama thriller from writer-director Paul Schrader. Hawke plays Reverend Ernst Toller, a middle-aged pastor who works at a centuries-old Dutch Reformed church that draws in more tourists than it does parishioners. Grappling with his own grief and dependence issues, Toller faces a harrowing new challenge when he meets pregnant parishioner Mary and her suicidal husband Michael. Michael's radical beliefs compound Toller's spiritual crisis, which leads to his final, violent trial in an ending that will leave you with plenty to think about. This isn't your mama's movie about parenthood. From director Jason Reitman and writer Diablo Cody, Tully stars Charlize Theron as Marlo, a struggling mother of two who's pregnant with their third child. At Marlo's baby shower for her daughter, her wealthy brother Craig offers to gift her a night nanny, a young woman named Tully. Though reluctant at first, Marlo later agrees to Craig's proposition, and she, her husband Drew, and Tully embark on a mind-bending journey that marries humor with surprising sincerity. Led by up-and-comer Elsie Fisher, 8th grade follows 13-year-old Kayla Day as she completes her final week of middle school. Kayla is awkward but well-meaning. She creates motivational YouTube videos and encourages others to carry themselves with confidence that she doesn't seem to have herself. She's every young teenage girl, and Bo Burnham's writing and direction perfectly captures that in a sweet, heartwarming, true-to-life movie.
One more week of 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, huh?
Can't believe you're gonna be in high school.
From Academy Award-nominated director and co-writer Deborah Granick, Leave No Trace begins just before the boiling point. War veteran Will and his 13-year-old daughter Tom have been living in an isolated section of a public park. When the survivalist duo make one small misstep, social services come calling, taking them in for extensive evaluations and setting them up with everything they need to live a normal life. Though confused as to why anyone would have previously considered her and her father homeless, Tom tries her hardest to adapt to her new environment and embrace her surroundings. Her father, however, grows increasingly rigid as both father and daughter try to understand each other and their place in the world.
I think it might be easier on us if we try to adapt.
We're wearing their clothes, we're in their house, we're
15 years after the death of children's television pioneer Fred Rogers, director Morgan Neville invites audiences to celebrate the life of the benevolent host of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and honor the good-heartedness and empathy he taught. More than just a single-subject documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor examines Rogers for who he was outside the PBS series and beneath his cozy cardigans. It reminds viewers that Rogers was far more amazing than anyone knew, the kind of compassionate creative that the world could use many more of. Anyone who doubted Nick Offerman's ability to play characters other than the mustachioed Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation needs to watch Hearts Beat Loud. Offerman shines as Brooklyn-based widower and musician Frank in the Brett Haley-directed drama that brings together the magic of music and the intricacies of a father-daughter relationship. When Frank and his daughter Sam find success after Frank uploads one of their songs to Spotify, their lives shift in a new direction. Rather than explore what happens to a parent and a child who hit the road like real rock and rollers, Hearts Beat Loud pulls the story inward, documenting Frank's fears of his daughter leaving New York, Sam's blossoming feelings for her girlfriend Rose, and the pair's dual acceptance that life may be scary, but that's what makes it beautiful. Everyone who took a high school-level psychology class will know that one of the most popular debates in the field is that of nature versus nurture, whether we are the way we are because of our genetics or because of our upbringing. Three Identical Strangers, an equally harrowing and heartwarming documentary by Tim Wardle, sticks that question under a microscope as it centers on Bobby, Eddie, and David, identical triplets who were separated at birth, each adopted by different families of different socioeconomic classes. The trio discover one another by chance in 1980, 19 years after their birth. Bobby and Eddie found out they were twins after Bobby was mistaken for Eddie on their college campus, and David learned he was the third brother following press coverage of Bobby and Eddie's reunion. But the joy-filled homecomings quickly turn dark as the triplets search for answers behind their adoptions, which lead them to shocking, life-altering secrets they were likely never meant to uncover. Based on Emily M. Danforth's 2012 novel of the same name, The Miseducation of Cameron Post centers on Chloe Grace Moretz Cameron Post, who is outed as a lesbian when she's caught kissing her female best friend. Soon after, Cameron's conservative aunt orders her to undergo conversion therapy at a center called God's Promise. There, Cameron forms friendships with a handful of other teens who, like her, put up a fight against being re-educated. It's a stirring coming-of-age movie that's absolutely worth seeing. Rafael Casal and David Diggs proved to be triple-threat talents in Blindspotting, the comedy drama the pair wrote, produced, and starred in under the direction of first-time feature filmmaker Carlos Lopez Estrada. Diggs leads as Colin, a felon who's so close to the end of his year-long probation he can practically taste it. Casal plays his best friend Miles, a troublemaker who offers no support to Colin in helping him make it through the fateful final 72 hours of his sentencing. Where Colin longs for a new beginning, Miles actively seeks out danger in the rapidly gentrifying streets of Oakland, California. The pair's lives splinter when Colin witnesses a white cop kill a black man, and Miles' fixation on violence and his increasingly trigger-happy mentality threatens to have devastating consequences. Those who missed out on seeing Blindspotting in its original release should remedy that misstep ASAP, and see why critics are calling this provocative, timely, wholly underappreciated movie one of the most unique films of 2018.
You went to jail on a fire technicality.
Did I?
Yes! How are we supposed to know that hipsters are so flammable?
Regina Hall leads Support the Girls as Lisa, the general manager of Double Whammies, a Hooters-esque restaurant. Lisa and her coworkers are trying to make it as well as they can in the world of customer service until they find themselves stuck in a particularly heinous day. Lisa tries to hold it together, but every hour seems to bring even more problems. The real world bites, the girls learn, but they bite back. Support the Girls is rock solid and rollicking, able to handle heavy themes while still remaining buoyant. Writer-director Crystal Moselle takes viewers to the concrete jungle, to the inner workings of a young woman's mind, and to the half-pipes, tramps, and grinding rails of New York's many skate parks in the down-to-earth drama Skate Kitchen. The film is an R-rated exercise in just how good movies can be when they're simplistic and realistic. The movie follows introverted teenager Camille, who joins the all-girls skateboarding group Skate Kitchen. Camille's world cracks open wide thereafter. She leaves home, begins falling for her new roommate's ex-boyfriend, fosters confidence, and fights misogyny. Most importantly, she learns how great life can be with a pack of like-minded ladies at your side. In the mystery thriller Searching, John Cho stars as David Kim, the father of 16-year-old Margot, who goes missing without a trace after visiting a friend's house for a group study session. David begins searching for answers in Margot's laptop, retracing the steps she took online in hopes of bringing her home before it's too late. What follows is a heart-stopping, jaw-dropping journey to uncover the truth behind his daughter's disappearance, which is darker and more complex than David could have ever imagined. With its unique approach, well-sustained suspense, tight pacing, and a final twist you'll never see coming, Searching is one of the best movies of 2018 and the most original thrillers in recent memory. Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly star as sibling gunslingers Charlie and Eli sisters in director Jacques Audiard's witty and emotionally weighty western The Sisters Brothers. Adapted from Patrick DeWitt's novel of the same name, the 1851 set film follows the rebellious, liquor-loving Charlie and the contemplative Eli as they travel through the northwest United States on the hunt for chemist Herman Worm. Herman has created a formula for prospecting gold, which makes him a target for the sisters' boss and a detective played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Unpredictable and atmospheric, with a story made all the more enjoyable by Phoenix and Reilly's brilliant performances, The Sisters Brothers is a western that you should see as soon as possible.